Right, so hello and welcome back to Books and Things, and today I'm going to be doing the BookBuddyAthon tag. Now, the BookBuddyAthon took place last week. I didn't get very much read in it at all. In fact, I finished like 2 books out of the 5, and one of them wasn't part of my challenges, and I had been reading for a really long time before. Although the book that I did finish, which wasn't part of the readathon handily, was The Cuckoo's Calling by J.K. Rowling, so it did begin with the first letter of Caroline's name, so I kind of completed one of the challenges inadvertently. But there we go. The BookBuddyAthon is hosted by Eleanor Reads Books and Swirly Girl Reads, and I'll link both their channels down below. I've been doing it with Caroline from BBC Girl 520, whose channel I'll link down below, and we decided that we would do the BookBuddyAthon tag as well, where basically the idea is that you ask each other 5 questions. So every tag for this, the questions will be different, and I have given Caroline 5 questions, and I'll link her video down below if it's up now, and she has asked me 5 questions as well. So yes, let's get on to the questions. The first question Caroline asked me is, did you have a favourite illustrator when you were a child, and is it the same person now? So my favourite illustrator when I was a child was probably Chris Riddell, who illustrated the Edge Chronicle books. I think he also wrote some of them, like they were always credited as being by Paul Stewart and Chris Riddell, so I think they co-wrote them and he also illustrated them, or at least he did a lot of the world work. I'm not completely certain, but I really loved these books as a child. They were probably my favourite childhood books, sort of until I was like 13 and discovered classics. I loved them a great deal. I love the illustrations of the Edge Chronicles. I'll try to put some up on my video while I'm saying this, because they were just beautiful and quirky and weird, and I love books that have illustrations in because I don't have a very visual imagination at all. I never really imagine what things look like when I'm reading a book. I also love like the maps at the beginning of the book. They're also really gorgeous as well, which is nice. And then the person who I'd probably consider my favourite illustrator now, who was also probably my favourite illustrator when I was a teenager, is Hablot Knight Brown, also known as Fizz, who was the main illustrator of the Dickens novels. Obviously he's not alive anymore, but I love those original illustrations in Dickens books. He didn't illustrate every single one of Dickens' books, like he didn't illustrate Our Mutual Friend, but he illustrated like more than half of them, and I love his illustrations very much. They're just beautiful and so fun, and just, yeah. Oh, I do love a good illustrated book. Question 2 from Caroline is, if you could go back in time and talk to Dickens, is there anything in any of his books that you would ask him why he did it? I can't think of many specific things that I would ask Dickens about most of his finished novels, but I feel like if I could go back and talk to him, I would ask him about The Mystery of Edwin Drood. Both what would happen and the end of The Mystery of Edwin Drood if he had finished it, and also like why various things happen as they do in the first half, to which I think would be made sense of later. I feel like I would also have strong words with Dickens about the presentation of various characters in his books. And there's also probably quite a lot of characters of his that are like half sympathetic but also not, and I would kind of be curious to know how likeable he found them. I feel like that would be interesting. So for example, Eugene Wrayburn and Mr. Oaksmith in Our Mutual Friend, who I find really, really interesting characters and likeable characters and often very, very good characters, but they also have problematic elements, and I want to know whether Dickens found those elements problematic or not. I feel like that would be really interesting. Question 3 from Caroline, which I think she stole from Eleanor's BookBuddyAthon tag video, is what would your literary family consist of? So if you took like a brother or a sister or parents from different novels, who would that be? I find this really hard, partly I think because a lot of the books I read don't have very nice families in, but I guess if I had to be like part of any family in a book, I think I would be part of the Hales in North and South. Not that they have like a very happy time in the book, but I really like them as characters. I find them really, really interesting. I feel like I would like Margaret as a sister because I get on with her really well as a character, if you know what I mean. Like I find her a really interesting and complicated character, and also I don't have a sister, so I guess that would be nice. Question 4 is, what unread book on your shelf has been the bane of your reading life that you keep on trying to pick up and never seem to manage to read it? The book I have had on my shelves for the longest is Any Human Heart by William Boyd, which I was supposed to read for the BookBuddyAthon and didn't start. I might start it this month still and try and read it, because I think I would really like it, but I just never get around to reading it. It's not even like it's that long, like it's lengthy, but it's not huge. I bought this after I saw the beginning of the TV adaptation back many, many years ago, like 7 years ago, I think, and I was really enjoying the TV adaptation, but I stopped it in order that I could read the book, and then I didn't read the book, and I've just been putting it off, and I think I would really like it. I know it spans a really long period of time, which I like. I like the bit of the TV series that I saw. It felt quite similar from the TV series to Anthony Powell's A Dance to the Music of Time, which is a long series of 12 books and is one of my favourite works of literature ever written, so I feel like I would like this, but I just haven't managed to. I don't know why. It's never the highest thing on my TBR. It's never the priority read, and it should be, so we'll try. Hopefully soon. We'll see. Question 5 is, which of your books have the best stories of how you got them and how did you get those books? So some of my like very old and sort of physically 19th century books, my first edition Dickens, I feel like have very good stories of how I got them, especially if I received them as presents and that kind of thing, which is very, very exciting. I also have a near complete set of Dickens from the very, very early 20th century, which I really love, which I found randomly in a second-hand shop in Greenwich in London, which was really, really exciting. And they're back at my parents' house as well, but I really like those and it was really, really exciting when I discovered them. And then I also have like a fun story about Slade House, which I also haven't read yet, in that this is the special foils edition. So the bookshop Foils in the UK produced this edition which has special red edges. I was working at Foils the time that this edition was created. I was working in web orders and we had a lot of these signed first editions going online, and David Mitchell, the author of this book, was upstairs in Foils in the auditorium signing 900 copies of this book. Because I worked in web orders, I went upstairs to the auditorium where David Mitchell was signing all of these copies in order to collect a big batch to send out because people were already ordering them online. I walked into the room and David Mitchell's publicist was lying on the floor. David Mitchell was sat there with a pile of 900 books beside him and like 3 plates of unfinished cake, and it just made me really happy. It was really nice. He also signed the book, which was really nice and in a very like special way, so it's really exciting. I'll show you, hopefully you can see, because it's the most like funnily signed book I have. So it says to Katie and then it says wishing you all the best, David Mitchell, and then he wrote London Foils at the bottom, which is really exciting. So yeah, I think that's one of the like most special books I have in that sense. Still haven't read it. Now that I've read The Bone Clocks, I really should read Slade House. But yeah, I feel like that was quite a fun story. Those are the 5 questions that Caroline asked me. I'll link her channel down below and you should definitely go and check out her videos. One, because they're very good, and also because she likes Victorian literature, which I of course approve of. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back very soon with another video.